Okay, hi everyone. I'm Catherine Swain,
Charne Tutson.
and we are going to be here having a very intimate and important conversation about student loan debt. And I am the communications associate for 1,000 Women Strong, and we are going to get started. So, thank you so much for making time for us today.
You're very welcome.
So, we're trying to delve deeper into the impacts of student loan debt on Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And to get started, in one word, how does your student loan debt make you feel?
Wow, one word. When I think about it, it's overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just starting from the beginning of your educational journey, did you have to take out loans to pursue I'm assuming your BA?
Yes, definitely. I grew up in South Los Angeles and product of a single mom, and that was basically the option because I went to school out of state and didn't really have any scholarships or many grants.
I see. Okay. And just to give everyone an understanding, I know that Mrs. Tunson is also a principal. She's also run for what?
LACCD.
LACCD,
Board
yes.
trustee.
Yes, we're speaking to a Valley legend here. And can you explain what degrees you have to get? I'm assuming to become a principal.
Yes, definitely. So you obviously have to get your undergraduate Bachelor of Arts degree in whatever content area that you want to be in education. So I started off by teaching art. So my degree is in visual arts. And then to actually become a teacher, there's certain credentialing program you need to complete, which also you end up with a master's degree if you so choose. At the time, I just went and got the credential. So that was a certificate program. And then after that, I went to get a second credential in administration, and that's when I got my master's degree. As well. And then since then, I have attempted a couple of doctoral programs. Haven't really decided which one I liked yet. So that was also an added expense to my degree.
Wow. Okay. And if you wanted to pursue a doctoral program, that would be, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the master's program, I believe, was 2 years. The doctoral program can be between 2 and 3 years. So it's almost another bachelor's degree to pursue these extra.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And do you think that that's preventing more Black women from from securing higher roles in their work, in their specialized industry, just like this student debt?
I think so.
Yeah.
Women, we know, even though it's 2021, women are not treated equally in the workforce, and that is especially true in the education field. You wouldn't think that, but there are more males in leadership positions in education, and it's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah. Okay, so just to cement our conversation, we're going to switch gears a bit to how your student loan debt has potentially affected your wealth building journey and your wealth building journey for your family, because that's definitely really detrimental to Black families and Black wealth.
Absolutely. And it's something that, it's come up over and over again because your student loans are on your credit. They're part of your credit report. And even though your loans are deferred, while you're still in school or taking classes, or you could even get a forbearance if you have financial hardship, it's still a part of your portfolio. And so, we've been looking to purchase a home for a while, and right now, that is a huge challenge for what I can contribute to the process with my husband, is because I have these student loans. We were fortunate to pay his off many, many years ago. He didn't have as much as me. But, that's still the huge, red flag. Whenever you look at my credit, it's whoa, what is this? And, I have to explain, well, I'm taking classes. I don't have to pay right now, but it's still attached to me.
Of course. Yeah. In your opinion, what is the most predatory aspect of your student loan debt?
Um, I would say the forbearance and deferment. It sounds really
Interesting. Okay.
good,
Yeah.
because it means you don't have to pay it back. But at the same time, your loans are still accumulating interest and interest. And so, like, I did not
Mm.
receive six figures worth of education. Um, that is just what mine has amassed to because, I graduated from college from undergrad in 1998, and here we are in 2021. And because of the amount of school that I've been in and classes I always have to take a class, my amount has just compounded. And it looks good. It seems good in the moment. Like, oh, you don't have to make a student loan payment.
Yeah.
That's one less bill.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it is essentially, but it's like, okay, at the end of your journey, you're going to have to start to pay those bills. So I would say that is the most predatory part of it. Us not
Wow.
understanding like completely. And then, you just think, oh, okay, well, I'll deal with it when it comes time to pay it back. But as an educator, I'm always in
Yeah.
school. I
Yeah.
don't make those payments. And even now during COVID, the government like automatically put everybody's in um, for a deferment throughout the process. And so it's really great. But again, it's like interest is still
Mm.
adding on.
Wow. Because usually people say, "Oh yeah, I think interest." I spoke to Dr. Sherman yesterday. She's a woman who also super successful, very educated, and she said, "I think the most predatory aspect is interest because like you accrue interest, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even realize that it's compounded when it's forbeared."
Yes.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yes. And I've never done it, but if I actually sat down and like wrote
That's
out
ridiculous.
what my tuition costs were for each school compared to what my loans are, it would be a significant difference.
Yeah, and of course, like you've made your like I. That's so crazy that they only get higher. It seems like no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yes. Even while you're paying them, it's still accruing interest
Yeah.
in it. It's a fairly low, interest rate, but but it still
It's
doesn't matter.
interest,
I still
yeah.
have this huge bill, that I have sitting there waiting for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So, this is to follow up to that question. So, if you could do it all over again, would you still take out your student loans?
I would take out my student loans because it got me to where I am today. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think people should be afraid of them. You should have a plan. I really didn't have a plan. Like when I first started college, I
Mm.
didn't want to be a teacher. I don't know. I think I wanted to do fashion design. We all change majors,
Yeah.
and then when I decided to become a teacher, it was toward the end of my undergraduate. And so I still needed to do the extra time to get the credential. But if you really think about it and don't wait, just make those payments, even if it's $25 a month. Only defer it and forbear it if you have to. But then also, what I did not do is I did not look for scholarships. There's tons of money out
Oh.
there. And it was just me being young and lazy. There was no other reason for me not doing that because that could have offset the amount of loans that I needed to take.
Do you think that there were loans available for you as a young black woman in South LA?
There were,
Especially compared to now, because I know we're just infiltrated with scholarships.
yeah, definitely. There were.
Okay.
I don't think that there was enough emphasis on scholarships.
Mm.
We looked at it as work, like, oh, I have to write another essay or I have to fill out another application kind of thing. But in hindsight, like that time would have been very valuable for me financially if it could have offset the amount of loans that I needed. Even now, looking to pursue my doctoral program, I'm looking for like grants and scholarships because there actually is a cap as to the amount of loans you can take out over your education career. So there's undergraduate cap
What?
and then there's a graduate cap. Yes. So I think I may have like 10 grand left available to take out. And that's like not even a year. worth
Wait,
of
they put a
graduate.
cap on how much you can take out.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Why? Do you? And I know I'm asking, but
Yeah,
it's just like, why would they?
I don't know. It's probably because that's for the the federally subsidized loan. I could do a private. They call it a graduate plus loan, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't get that lower interest rate, and
I
you
see.
also have credit requirements
I
for
see.
that. So it's
Okay.
like, well, these loans over here are the reason why
Yeah,
I'm struggling with the credit. But then if I want this loan over here, it's a
I
catch 22.
see.
So a
Mm.
lot of people just pay for it, because school you can make a monthly payment or whatever, but it's like that's another bill, that's taken away from your income and your expenses that you have already, to go to school. And so that could be another reason why a lot of women hold
Mm.
off on it too, because we have other financial obligations,
Yeah,
you know.
especially because Black women tend to be the breadwinners of families sometimes. Like they
Hmm.
can't even risk that
Hmm.
additional bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I see. So when you were in undergrad and in graduate school, could you juggle also supporting yourself with an additional job? Like, how did that work?
At the time, no. For undergrad, I didn't work.
Okay.
I just focused on school so that I could, get the degree and start working.
Yeah.
And then when I was in the graduate program, we actually had started our family. So we had two kids, two young kids. So trying to do another job with going to school and then working full time definitely was not an option
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of your children, how has your experience with student loans affected what you tell them, what you teach them, what you're trying to do for them? So to make sure, I'm sure you don't want them to be in this position.
Yeah. My husband and I are both educated more so when it comes to student loans. And so, we have a daughter in college now,
Yeah.
and we're being very responsible with that, taking a look at everything, paying what we can ourselves.
Yeah.
But then, she still has the loans as well. My other daughter, she started school. It wasn't as expensive, and we did have to take out a loan for her, but she's already been taught like, oh, this is something that we have to, tackle early on. And so it's a part of like her budget, to make payments on this.
Okay. That's good.
So we do understand that, and we know that, people say like student loan is good debt. It's not good debt. It's debt.
Yeah, it's no such thing as good
It's
debt.
debt because there's so many people who will like get student loans, get degrees, and then they're still out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So, how is that good debt? It's
Yeah.
it's just debt.
Yeah, I was speaking to a registered nurse in Valley Village, and she's from Las Vegas, and she was telling me that her family, I was like, why are you complaining about student loan debt? It's just the way it is. And she said a lot of her other girlfriends who are also Black women, their families say the same thing, like, oh, it's good debt. It's student loan debt. Like, you should be so happy you got to take it out to go to school.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is kind of twisted ways of thinking.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, it's with everything. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
And, there are programs out there, because I've taught in the inner city my entire career. There are forgiveness programs out there where there's one where if you make 120 payments, then they'll forgive the rest of your loans. And so I'm like, okay, that sounds good. But then 120 payments, that's 10 years. So I've been working in this inner city for 22 years. But I have not made the 10 years worth of payments. And so you would think, like, at what point do we receive grace? Because we know that educators are underpaid and overworked. They're one of the least respected industries in our country, which is ironic because without us, there would be no one else. There would be no doctors, lawyers, president, thing like that. No athletes or actor, So it is just a really strange thing that I wish that our legislators and our president and because the first lady is an educator, hopefully she brings some insight into this this challenge, and that we're able to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And at 1,000 Women Strong, we are urging the Biden administration to cancel $50,000 worth of student loan debt. That's what this interview is going towards, this campaign. And we're trying to garner enough signatures so we can get that petition elevated. But we're a bit, actually, let me not speak for the organization, but I'm very disappointed with President Biden, because I remember on the campaign trail he was really pushing that he was going to cancel student loan debt, and now he's saying that $50,000 of student loan debt being canceled is impossible. That's really disappointing to me.
And I don't believe that. I don't believe it's impossible. What COVID has taught us, if nothing else, is that things are possible. I look at when COVID first came on the scene, and there was concern about all the homeless individuals being out on the streets and being exposed, and all of a sudden we were able to put homeless individuals in hotels. We were able to give them medical care. You look at the school system, and students in the inner city have not had technology in their hands. All of a sudden, we were able to give every single child a laptop, and if they needed it, a hotspot. So, I don't believe it's not possible. You go to the grocery stores, and individuals were cleaning very well, spraying down the carts and, doing all these things. And I thought, well, what were we doing before? This is what we're supposed to do. So when you say that it's not possible, it is possible. We gave $10,000 grants to individuals due to COVID without any verification. My daughter, who at the time was running a lash business, and she did suffer loss of that, but she qualified for a $10,000 grant. And so I don't believe that it's not possible. It is possible. And we talk about stimulating the economy. That is a way that we can stimulate the economy. $50,000. $50,000 would be phenomenal. That would just be some of the interest that has accrued, but it would knock down, my loan balance by a fourth. So we can do it. That would then lower my debt. That would then possibly increase my credit, and would allow me to be eligible to purchase a home. What a better way to stimulate the economy than to have someone who's a career educator purchase a home, and be able to pay property taxes, which then go on to other things. So,
absolutely,
it's possible.
Schools.
It's definitely possible, and we can do it.
Absolutely, and that's what's so frustrating, I think, when I hear President Biden and Vice President Harris speak about racial justice, reconstruction, and what you just said, brilliant plan laid out, right? And it's if we were to do that, Black communities would be just, it would be night to day.
Absolutely.
So it's just why aren't we doing that?
I know, and I totally agree. I mean, if all the teachers in the inner city, let's just say teachers, had their student loans wiped out. Imagine that huge burden that would be taken off of them, and how they would then be able to be more productive in their roles with those students, then supporting the most needing students, in our city, or even, in the inner cities around the world. You don't have to give them a raise, but that is a raise in essence if you take that burden away from them, and they're able to then focus on what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel when you used one word to describe how student loans made you feel, that's why overwhelmed was probably so spot on. Because I can't imagine, that's literally a bill. That's probably a mortgage in some states.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy a house with my student loans. The amount of student loans I have, I could go buy a house in some places.
Yeah.
And and that would be an asset. My degrees are an asset, but in my field, it's always, well, who knows more? Who has the next degree? And so it's I have to keep climbing that degree ladder if I want to get ahead. My goal is to teach at the college level one day.
Yeah.
Well, the degrees that I have aren't sufficient enough to do that. Even though I have 22 years experience, the degrees that I have is not enough. So I have to go back to school to get what I need.
Wow.
It's like it never ends.
It never ends.
Mm-hmm.
I actually spoke to Dr. Sherman, my last interviewee. She was telling me that she's a bit older,
Mm-hmm.
and she was telling me that she's already made a plan with her estate when she passes to continue paying off her student loan debt.
Yeah, when you die, your debt doesn't die.
Oh, that was so chilling when she told me that. She was like, it's in perpetuity until it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I couldn't believe that.
I have to have a life insurance policy just to cover the payment of my student loans so that my family doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. That's sick. And this is designed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
America, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
That's what I think. After speaking to a lot of women, I'm realizing so many people are not suffering, but it's just becoming more difficult to live, no matter how educated you are.
Yeah.
No matter how, because a lot of black women I've interviewed, they really cater to the politics of respectability. Whether it's not in a Tom Coonery way, it's just just very respectable Cosby-like people.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you chase that American dream, you still have this debt following you. So it's well, when are you free?
That's right.
When do you attain that economic, that capital, that stability?
Yeah.
When, what gives? It's where does it end? I'm really trying to understand.
No, it's true, and it's a great question, and there is no answer for it.
Yeah.
And even though this past year has brought out a lot of conversations around social justice, the injustices, for Black people, for women, people still don't realize it's different. We've been living in this house. My son is going to 9th grade, so for 9 years, because we moved here just so he can go to school. This is not our house. We don't own it. We don't own it. We've been renting for 9 years. Can you imagine if this was a home that we owned, the amount that we would have paid down towards it?
Yeah.
And it's just it's crazy. Even if we wanted to purchase a home in this community where our kids were raised, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And what we have going against us is the fact that we are Black.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even the endless possibilities that home ownership would bring you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, I can take out equity to pay my student loans.
Yes.
I can take out equity to support my kids in college.
Yes.
And it's just wow, this is really an inescapable cycle.
It is. It just never ends.
Yeah, and that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we covered my next question. It was how would canceling student debt change your life? So my second to last question, Mrs. Tutson, is how have your loans impacted your overall happipiness? If you want to give it that much power.
I haven't really, I don't think about them, to be honest. I don't. There is just like the elephant in the room type thing, because they're there, but because of me going to school, I know that there are programs I can defer them, forbear them. I just keep pushing them away, hoping that they'll disappear, even though I know they won't.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's a slap in the face when the time comes, let's, run your credit for this, buy a car, buy a house, do this. And that is when it's oh, okay, they're there, Yeah. So it's not an everyday, it doesn't affect me every day. I don't think about them every day, but it's when they're important times, though, it's I'm reminded, oh yeah, those are there.
Yeah. And Mrs. Tutson, our last question is, if you don't mind sharing, how much do you owe in student loan debt?
So as of today, because I'm reminded on my Credit Karma, the amount is $268,173. It's enough to purchase a really nice home in another state. Not California, but I can live large with that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's reality. And I still haven't finished my doctoral program, so I've got to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, Mrs. Tutson, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
we appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this inspired someone. You're not alone. We're all in this together, you know.
Absolutely. And that's why I really appreciate these conversations. It normalizes student loan debt. A lot of people don't talk about it because it's just such a burden to even discuss.
Yeah. It's a reality, I'm thankful that I was able to receive the loans because I probably would not be where I am today. But at the same time, I feel like I've worked so hard and have served the community in a way that there should be some type of relief or allowances or grace or, something, not a handout, but just like, thank you for your service type thing. Those that go and serve in the military, when they come out, they're eligible for the GI loan.
Absolutely.
We have served our inner city. We have served students, our youth. So many of the students that I've served are successful, entrepreneurs, they're in politics, they're doctors, lawyers. So proud of them, I would like a relief as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're just, I feel like it's a large disservice to like the Black community and really Black women to keep ignoring this because we're the number one victims of student loan debt.
Yeah, definitely.
Intersectionally wise, intersectionality wise, and it's just important. And the fight continues.
Let's keep fighting.
The fight continues.
I will be the mouthpiece to fight.
I know you will. Well, thank you again, Mrs. Tutson.
You are very welcome.